Hi everyone, Jake Lee here, your Kankakee County Auditor, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Freedom of Information Act, also known as FOIA. Um, Before we begin, I want to just point out that freedom is so special and so important to our nation, so much that our founding fathers thought it needed to be in the Bill of Rights. Freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, freedom to petition the government, um, freedom of information, freedom of religion. All of these rights, all of these freedoms were codified in our Constitution and are kind of the backdrop of the Freedom of Information Act. The state of Illinois adopted and established the Freedom of Information Act in 1984. And coincidentally, the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, or the GASB that we call it in government, was established the same year. And both kind of have this approach of accountability, openness, transparency that is very important for the operation of the government and for you, the citizens, to feel fully engaged and to hold elected officials accountable. So, what is FOIA? FOIA, simply put, is a principle that's based on the idea that all persons are entitled to full and complete information, to engage in public discussion about making informed political judgments and monitoring the government to ensure that we, the government, are operating in the best interests of the voting public or the citizenry. The GASB says something similar about financial reporting. They say that accountability is the cornerstone of all financial reporting in government. So with that as kind of the overarching perspective of the Freedom of Information Act and the GASB, I want to share a FOIA request that we received in our office and some steps that we're going to take regarding that FOIA request. But in addition to that, before I get into that, I want to talk about our own experience with FOIA and a project that we are now undertaking. Our office requested some information in the past that we did not receive, and we requested it a second and third time through the Freedom of Information Act. We decided that because our initial request was ignored or otherwise not fulfilled, we would utilize FOIA to get our request fulfilled. Unfortunately, the first FOIA that we sent went unresponded to, and then we ended up sending it to the public access counselor in the Attorney General's office, and then we finally got a response. It wasn't an adequate response, so we sent an email back saying this didn't answer our questions, and that email was ignored. The second FOIA we sent did not get a response, so we sent a follow-up FOIA about a month later, and then waited 2.5 days, and then we sent that off to the public access counselor, and we're waiting to hear back what may happen with that. So that experience from FOIA taught us that perhaps the county needs to work on openness and responsiveness a little more. And so we are going to engage the county in a FOIA audit. And we're going to assess whether or not the county is compliant as it relates to the type of audit, with their responses, and other items. So stay tuned for more on that. Getting to the FOIA that we received, first and foremost, I want to let people know that our office believes that to the extent that we're able, we should provide enough information where FOIA really becomes unnecessary. We would hope that you would visit the auditor's website at k3countyauditor.com and look at some of the reports we have out there, some of the information that is already available, and see if that information fulfills some of your questions. If not, sometimes you need more detail, just shoot us a note and we'll be happy to assist. So how do you make a FOIA request? Well, written request is fine. For our office, you just send us an email. We do ask for your name, your address, a phone number that we can reach you in case we have any questions. And we need you to be specific. We need you to not assume that we know what you want. So be specific in your request, and we'll do the best we can to accommodate you. Per the statute, we have 5 days to acknowledge receipt of your request and fulfill that request. Or, within that period, we need to request an extension of an additional 5 days. If, however, you submit the type of request I'm going to talk about, a voluminous request in which your request is so significant in substance it requires more time, or it's unduly burdensome on the public body, then we can request up to an additional 10 days, or we can deny the request. In this case, we received an email from a constituent wanting a ton of information. And within that request were 9 individual requests. And so we sought out guidance from the state's attorney, from the public access counselor, to make sure that if we treated this as a voluminous request, that we were appropriately doing so. So we advised the constituent, as we are required to by state statute, that we were going to treat it as a voluminous request. We received the request on the 20th of December, just after noon, with all of these items involved. Now, the most significant part of this request were the emails. They wanted emails from the 1st of July of 2019 until December 20th of 2019 from the auditor's office to a number of other departments and their employees, etc., resulting in a document of well over 900 pages. The entire FOIA packet was over 1,000 pages, and it took us a little over 20 hours to fully construct it. And even then, we had, it wasn't quite as organized as we would have liked it to be, but we came up on the hard deadline, and we had to submit it to the constituent. The constituent also asked about it the day before, so we knew that they were anxious to receive the information, and so we wanted to do that, fulfill that request. The information included things such as we had to redact some information because those files included things such as bank account information, people's personal home addresses, customer account information, and other sensitive items that are not subject to FOIA or otherwise prohibited from disclosure, or just are inappropriate. And so we had to redact that information. Things such as the metadata that could be reverse engineered, that shows the secure links for websites, specifically banking sites. We redacted that as well. So it was a very involved request, but it taught us a lot of things. And one of the things it taught us is that after a request is made and all those documents are disclosed, it becomes part of the public record and should be openly available to anyone. And so our office has decided that we are going to upload that file to the auditor's website, where those documents will be readily available and accessible to any of the constituents for your perusal, in the spirit of transparency and openness that kind of undergirds the Freedom of Information Act. So I hope that helps you with what the Freedom of Information Act is, how the Freedom of Information Act can be applied, how your auditor's office responds to Freedom of Information requests, that we are fully transparent, we will fully disclose everything that is appropriate to disclose, and that we invite you to visit the auditor's website at www.k3countyauditor.com, or shoot us an email, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you regarding FOIA or any other items that you may have questions about as far as county government goes. Thank you so much. We appreciate the opportunity to serve you. Take care. May you have a great day.